was an apostle who decided to go to the ends of the earth to preach Jesus. He traveled to unfamiliar cities across rough, stormy seas to find people who did not know Jesus. At first, he went to the scattered Jews, and later he traveled to Gentile cities that he had never visited before. Sometimes he stayed in a city for a few days, and other times he spent years preaching the gospel while working there. Later, people called them Paul's missionary journeys. During his first missionary journey, whenever Paul entered a city, he would first visit the Jewish synagogue. This was probably because he wanted to say this to people who already knew about the Bible and God. The promise of God in the Old Testament was fulfilled through Jesus. Believe in Jesus. When the Jews heard Paul, they began to believe in Jesus. But at the same time, there were people who not only did not believe the story of Jesus Paul was telling, but also hated Paul for preaching Jesus. Those who hated him followed him to every single city he went to and harassed him. They even threw stones at him to the point where he almost died. In the end, Paul thought that he should preach the gospel especially to Gentiles, not Jews. Paul called the elders of Ephesus, with whom he had been with for several years, and told them he was going to start a journey for the Gentiles, and that he would go to Jerusalem first. The people were worried. There were many Jews in Jerusalem who hated Paul. But Paul said, "I have been led by the Holy Spirit to Jerusalem, not knowing what will happen to me there. However, I do not regret my life in the least when it comes to carrying out the mission I received from Jesus, which is to spread the gospel of God's grace." When Jesus prayed before the cross, he prayed that not his will, but the Father's will be done. Paul also seems to have this same heart as Jesus when he set out for Jerusalem and then to the Gentiles. Paul chose Spain as his final destination for spreading the gospel. At that time, people thought Spain was the end of the world. Jesus told his disciples to go to Jerusalem, all of Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth to be his witnesses. Paul wanted to follow Jesus' words and go to the ends of the earth to spread the gospel. Thanks to Paul's determination and courage to face fear, the gospel was spread beyond Jerusalem and all of Judea to many cities in Asia, and even to the far reaches of Europe. And so, it has reached all of us who are listening to the word today. Everyone, we too must spread the word of the resurrected Jesus to the world. How about spreading the gospel while thinking of Jesus' command and remembering Paul's courageous figure